Civ 7 has completely reworked its combat system, everything from the new army commanders adding movement and flexibility to an army to adding a new continuous combat system, introducing unit fronts and attack angles, allowing special mechanics like a real flanking system into the game. Also be covering settlement management, including the rework building adjacencies and town specializations. Whether you just jumped into this video or came from our original episode 1 where we talked about the early antiquity age, there's a lot to cover. So kick back and enjoy this part 2 of a nerd's guide to Civilization 7. Hello nerds and welcome to a game of Civilizations 7. I still can't believe I'm saying that. If you're already familiar with the early antiquity game, then don't worry, you don't have to go anywhere. Our last video, I was playing on the default difficulty just because it was one of the first games that I had started. But considering I wanted to focus on combat this game, I started a new map with a difficulty up to Sovereign. This is basically 2 levels below Deity, or what we would consider as Emperor in other Civ games, because I really wanted to show off both combat and the AI in this game. On this difficulty, you and the AI both don't get any bonuses to combat that I'm aware of, but this game is going to be much more beneficial in terms of showing off some of the mechanics than the last one was. You can see here, looking at our yield ribbons, I have 3 neighbors here between India, Confucius, and Hatshepsut, but you can see they're actually doing pretty dang good in stats. Rome is a cultural leader, and I'm only 2nd in culture, and Confucius over here has 40 science per turn compared to my 16, which is crazy. It's turned 43, which is very similar to where we just were, and I actually have 2 towns settled with a 3rd settlement on the way. Once we finish irrigation, I'll have an additional settlement limit and we won't have to deal with any of the debuffs. We have our first army commander, which a bunch of units nearby. I have the first promotion on assault, allowing units to be able to attack after they are unpacked, and you can see our units are ready to move in. Before I do that, I want to show you where I am in the culture tree as well. I've completed discipline, mysticism, and code of laws. Mysticism gives you pantheons, discipline gives you your commander, code of laws will give you merchants, and it's something I will be showing off here shortly. But I've also gone for the mastery of discipline, giving us the policy card honor, which will give us 3 combat strength against independent powers. This will be very, very important, so I don't want to forget it. In terms of government, I'm running despotism this game. This is basically what feels like a more of a scientific militaristic bend. Most of the time I'm picking science, but I did use the production modifier during a celebration to crank out quite a few units. Now that I have that +3 combat strength, you can see it actually gives me a slight edge on some of these warriors. You notice both of these warriors are in rough terrain, giving them +3 combat strength, which basically equalizes with my +3 combat strength against independent powers. You'll notice that all of these attacks are now stalemates. Combat works very similarly as it has in previous games. When you attack another unit, you will do damage to them, but you will be taking damage in return. The more the difference between your combat strength, the more damage you do to them and the less damage that you'll take. Right now, you can see all these units are at stalemates because they're 23 on 23. They will be taking roughly equal damage. There's a little bit of a random roll when it comes to the combat calculation to be a little bit of a risk aesthetic. But you can see here, if I use my slinger first to attack, say, this unit, now the unit is damaged, having a -2 combat strength, which actually means this is no longer a stalemate, it is now a minor victory. The more damage he takes, the more the combat penalty that a unit receives, so he'll take even more damage the more hurt the unit is. You'll notice these units are actually going to continue to attack for the entirety of the turn. This is not just a cosmetic thing. They've actually introduced directional combat. You can see because my right side warrior attacked first, the independent power is engaging them directly. That means that there is now a direction of combat that is established between these 2 units. Meanwhile, my left side warrior is now attacking them from the side. This doesn't give us any bonus just yet, but this will be very important when flanking is introduced later on. Flanking is introduced at military training. If you want to do a military push, there's going to be a few things that you'll want. First is going to be bronze working because you'll be upgrading to your tier 2 units, whether that's spearmen, archers, or in our case, the legions. The wheel is very useful to get access to heavy chariots and ballista. And then military training is incredibly powerful when it comes to unit flanking. So you still want to focus on tech advantage when it comes to military warfare, because the further you get in this tech tree, especially once you get to ironworking and you get tier 3 units, you can get quite the advantage. It's also funny just to continue to hear them fighting throughout the entire game. Now that I have some of the core civics research from Antiquity era, I'm going to move on to the Roman civics. This is where we find a lot of unique stuff to Rome, including policy cards that are unique only to Rome. These policy cards are actually called tradition, and you keep them for the entirety of the game. Legions also get additional combat strength for every tradition in your government, so I want to unlock as many of these as I can. We also have a couple of unique buildings, including the Temple of Jupiter, as well as a Basilica, but these are very powerful, especially when you get towards Legatus Pro Praetor, which gives you another settlement limit, as well as the final one that gives you additional settlement limit, as well as access to the Colosseum. You can see our capital of Rome here has grown to 10 population, has a ton of different rural districts. A correction from my last video, rural districts do not need to be connected. You can improve any tile within your borders. It's just urban districts that need to be connected to each other to facilitate the urban sprawl. In those urban districts, I have prioritized building my warehouse buildings. These are the buildings that give you additional yields on your tile improvements. Warehouse buildings are some of the earliest buildings that you can unlock. They are all ageless and give boosts to tile improvements. So at agriculture, you have the granary that boosts farms. At pottery, you have the brickyard, which boosts clay pits, mines, and quarries. Animal husbandry has the saw pit, which gives production on camps and woodcutters. And sailing has the fishing quay, which gives food on fishing boats. So you can see our capital has built the granary to boost farms, the brickyard to boost mines, and the fishing quay to boost these fishing boats. Because warehouse buildings improve tile improvements, warehouse buildings can always be bought in towns no matter what civilization you play, while the majority of other buildings need a town to be converted into a city. Past your ageless warehouse buildings, you have new types of buildings like the library, the garden, and the monument, which are not ageless but are key to the early development of your Antiquity empire and are some of the first buildings to introduce adjacencies. Now, in the last video, I had a bunch of questions about adjacencies, so I just quickly wanted to break it down. In Civ 6, we've been used to having adjacencies that are locked directly to the districts themselves, but in Civ 7, you no longer have districts that have inherent adjacencies. You just have what are called urban districts. These districts are blank and have no adjacencies. However, what do have adjacencies are the buildings that you put inside of them. So instead of building a +2 science campus, what you end up doing is you build a blank urban district, which will then have a +2 library inside. Libraries always have at least +2 science, but they get additional adjacency for every resource that is nearby. So in this Civ 6 example, with having stone and maze nearby, this would actually go from a +2 library to a +4 library. Markets work very similarly. So instead of having a +2 commercial hub on a river, you would have a urban district with a market that has +2 gold baseline, but then has an additional 1 gold for every adjacent river or coastal terrain. In this example, that would make this a +4 market, considering that you have 2 river tiles nearby and a +2 baseline market. If you put a market in this urban district, this would be a +5 market because it has adjacent to it 2 river tiles and a coast tile. Monuments themselves also have +2 culture, but get +1 culture for every adjacent mountain or natural wonder. So if you put a monument on this tile, it would be a +5 monument. Now, every single building in the Antiquity era also gets adjacency from wonders. No longer do wonders only provide adjacency to theater squares, but now wonders will provide +1 additional adjacency to every single building type, making this a +5 library, a +6 monument, and a +5 market. You can see this reflected in the wiki. You can see the monument provides 2 culture and 1 influence, but also gives additional culture for every adjacent mountain, natural wonder, or world wonder. So you can see this tile has 3 culture in it. That's because it's a 2 culture monument, but then also +1 culture from Rome's special ability, giving +1 culture on districts in the capital. You can see up here, we have another monument adjacent to a mountain. This +2 monument becomes +3. But remember, every district can contain 2 buildings, so how you pair these buildings together will be a big part of your early city planning. Some buildings naturally have the same adjacencies, so they pair well together, but also sometimes it might be better just to put a library and a monument down together quickly, especially if you're trying to utilize the boost from specialists. That's pretty much the basics about adjacencies. You can see we have a granary here as well as a brickyard here. Oh, why is that on fire? Is that supposed to be on fire? Oh, of course it is. It's a brickyard. They're building bricks. And you can see Aqualia actually has our first copy of iron. I could switch this town off of growth and into one of its specializations already, but I want to continue to get more rural districts. If I switch away from growing, this town will stop growing, and then its food will be split between all cities, in this case, the capital. So I want this Aqualia to get to population 10 so I can get that iron improved. Because I will have camps and woodcutters here eventually, I'll be building this saw pit. This is another warehouse building that is, again, ageless, but gives production to camps and woodcutters. So we'll be placing that right here. These don't have adjacencies themselves, but Rome gets extra culture for every district it has in the capital. So I kind of just want to sprawl here. Unlike barbarians, independent powers will heal if they don't do anything on their turn. You see, as the turn rolls over, the combat is now over, and we're going to use our slingers to fight. That gives another promotion to an army commander, and one of his second promotions for assault gives additional combat strength for infantry units within the commander radius when attacking. Now, commanders have a radius of only 1, so the promotion here will give +2 combat strength to adjacent infantry units. Now, this warrior has 20 melee strength, -3 because it's damage, remember, because it was still fighting, +3 because it's fighting an independent power, and then +2 because of the route promotion. So having the commander centrally located is very important here. Now, if a unit kills another unit, they'll just walk in and take their space. Attack with my weaker unit first, because if the stronger unit pushes through, he'll have a little bit more health to sustain a counterattack. Now, while all 3 of these independent powers nearby have been hostile, I've decided, because having my military between me and Egypt just sounds like a good idea to keep myself safe, and fighting these independent powers for experience will help us out. I did want to become suzerain of this independent power, so I did decide to befriend them. Now that we have hit the milestone of 45 out of 60, they give you your first gift. Once we get to 60 out of 60, it becomes a city-state, and we can pick its suzerain bonus. But for right now, we just have a little narrative gift giving me an extra warrior, which is going to be in the capital, which will help us escort our settler. And technology-wise, now that I have all of these different production improvements, I'm going to go to writing because I need to increase my science per turn by getting libraries unlocked. It looks like China up here is getting hammered with boats. That's a problem for them. Galleys with range attacks are very devastating. Now, I don't want to overextend my units here, and so instead, I'm just going to have my units wait a turn. Anytime you do not spend your movement points, your units will heal by usually a default of 10 in neutral territory. If you're inside your own territory, you'll heal by 20. If you're in enemy territory, you'll only heal by 5. I've also noticed a little bit of a glitch here. Our slingers have actually moved over here, but for whatever reason, they kind of stay put, and it's a little bit of a duplicate glitch. It's not real, it's just a visual thing, but it's something to keep in mind. You can see our units have healed just a little bit there. There's also this independent power units are walking around. The first thing I want to do is pick our new celebration. Since I need additional science very badly, I'm going to go ahead and take that. And because we have a new celebration, we actually get additional policy card. I'm going to use the oratory to get additional influence per turn, considering that is a very powerful currency later on. And we even have access to the garden. The garden's a very strong food building because it gives a baseline of 3 food per turn, but it gives additional food for every coastal terrain, navigable river terrain, or wonder. So you can see I could put this on this tile, giving 3 food per turn, but you also get 3 food from each of the adjacent river tiles here. I could also do the same thing up here. Because I have a fishing quay, we actually have an urban district that branches across the river. It also culture bombs us towards this marble tile, which I'll want to improve with a rural district soon too. Now our slinger is going to keep on peppering these units. I'm just going to keep on spending time skipping turns so that my units can heal up just a little bit faster. And this settler, we're going to go to this tile to be equidistant between all of these resources and settle our 4th settlement. Now, this actually brings up a very interesting thing to discuss. We have unlocked the Incan civilization. So you don't have to go in the predetermined path. For instance, we've talked about with Rome, where Rome can transition into some of the empires that it did break up into in historical times. But there's also what are called what-if situations, where based off of the different things that you do in the game, you can unlock civilizations to transition to. So not only could we transition into the Normans, because we have 3 settlements with at least 3 mountains each, we are allowed to transition into an Incan type of Rome. You can think about this as what if instead of branching outwards into the different areas that Rome had conquered, that instead they went upwards, up the Alps, and focused on a more of a mountainous Rome civilization that fled and consolidated after the crisis. There are multiple ways to play Civilization. This narrative event or this qualification allows you to adapt to your map type as opposed to playing a pre-planned way to play, and this could be a lot of fun. Now, I settled this city because I eyed this gold resource, which is very good. Because remember, Rome already has a 50% gold towards purchasing buildings and towns. Combine that with the gold resource, and you can be buying things for very cheap. I'm going to use some of my excess influence to start a cultural exchange with Confucius. I want to boost my culture along, giving us from 26 culture to 32 culture per turn. Dude, that is so strong. 60 influence to give you 6 culture per turn feels really good. All right, I can see these barbarians are no longer just going to sit aside and let me attack them. I'll shuffle my units around to get this healed unit back up to the front. I definitely want to be careful with this galley attacking my warrior. And actually think I should fall back here. So I'm going to pack up my warrior, even pack up this warrior. We'll kill this unit with our warrior, and we'll tell our commander to actually fall back away from those galleys. Definitely need to be careful here. These coastal boats are always so strong. Even though that this camp is actually cleared right now, I do need to fall back even just a little bit further away from the coast. And we'll actually have all of these units heal. Setting up our own little camp. Look at their wounds, just trying to make sure that they survive. But there we are. We can actually grow our town right now. So to show off how strong gold is, what you could do is you could purchase buildings, say this altar for 360 gold, or ancient walls. By the way, you can buy ancient walls now. You don't have to build them. You can just buy walls in one turn, which is crazy. But anyways, our walls are 240 gold to buy. In our towns, they're even cheaper. They are negative 50% at 160. But if you improve this gold tile, it is now only 140 to buy walls in towns as Rome. So incredibly cheap. I think I'll be using this gold to actually buy a granary to boost the farm in this town, and then also boost the food growth in this town in general. We got another narrative event here because our soldiers have been doing a bunch of fighting and are quite proud. But we can decide to rein in the army's authority, increasing our culture, or support their expanded powers, giving us science. Because I'm trying to unlock libraries and take the science, now that we've completed this Roman civic, I'm actually going to go straight into its mastery. This will give the bulwark promotion for free on our army commanders. Since we have a journal here and I need to get one more promotion on our commanders, giving a free promotion on that commander feels really good. Bulwark is right here. It gives the ability to complete fortifications 1 turn faster. Basically, you can fortify in just 1 turn. We have another narrative choice. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the additional culture here to get that completed faster. Aqualia has finally got to 10 population. Now I can improve this iron resource, and improving the iron as an empire resource will give us +1 combat strength on all infantry units for all future engagements. So you can see now I have +1 from iron resources. The more iron you improve, the more combat strength you'll get on your infantry units. So improving this iron down here will also be a priority of mine coming up. I'm gonna grab these dates from this town, getting another bonus resource which I'll assign to a different town, giving it a little bit of food and happiness over this town. It looks like Ashoka is denouncing us. This will actually hurt our relationship quite substantially, but I do not have the diplomatic favor to reject this. So it is what it is. You're on 1 city, dude. Holy cow, what happened up here? This city's being raised! Oh my god! That's being raised by the Barbs. The independent power took the city. Yo, no way. No way. That's crazy. Confucius actually wants to do a research collaboration. Because I really want the science right now, I will take this, giving an additional science per turn, and that will actually get us closer to unlocking bronze working. The cultural exchange I will not be able to accept though. And you can see here, this independent power has finally become a city-state. As a military city-state that has a couple of different bonuses we can get here. Get access to a unique unit as well as a unique tile improvement. But I'm going to take Marca here, +1 combat strength to infantry units for every city-state we're Susan of. That's going to stack nice. It looks like this independent power is starting to actually spawn units, so I actually do need my units to heal very quickly. Oh, there's those boats. Oh, the city is god. Holy cow, dude. That's so funny. There we go. We have the civic mastery unlocked, giving us a free promotion and completing our journal quest. Because we completed the journal's quest, giving us 15% production towards training infantry for the rest of the era. This is another narrative event according to our leader. Augustus, according to legend, is descendant from Apollo, but a new cult is forming among Rome's prosperous nobles, one that places the sun at the heart of all things, the cult of Sol Invictus. And we can ignore this and just grab a little bit of gold by taxing the new temples, or accept the quest to build 2 altars and gain an expansionist attribute point. Quests just tend to almost always be worth it. Considering I already have 1 altar, it should be very easy to get a second one. And I can just go ahead and buy one. Next to our monument, building the 2 altars, completing the narrative event, giving us the expansionist attribute point, leveling up our leader, giving us 25% production towards training settlers. Very nice. Civic-wise, we're gonna go to Civis Romanus. We finally have access to our libraries. Now I could put this library in a variety of different locations, but looks like over here we have a +4 library. Libraries themselves get +2 science, but get additional science for every adjacent resource or adjacent wonder. Because there's 2 resources nearby, I can actually get a +4 library down here, and I want to focus on building that quickly. Now, instead of walking your military all the way over to a warfront like this, which would take about 5 or 6 turns, what you can do instead is use this reinforce army command. This will teleport a unit towards an army commander. They won't be available immediately, but in a few turns, they will show up inside of the army stack. This time is determined by how far away a unit is, but it's generally almost always a little bit faster than actually walking. And it's especially helpful when you have to send units from one end of your empire to the other. Seems like mostly another quality of life reduction of micromanagement. We also have access to our very first merchant. Merchants are incredibly useful in the game. Instead of having a trade route unit or to have the ability to trade resources with the AI in terms of selling gold, both of those have been combined together into a merchant unit. You can see here, I can actually trade with the new city-state that has just been founded here. And by sending the merchant here, I do get 2 gold per turn, but I also get a copy of every resource that this city has improved. The city, of course, was just founded. So right now I'll get a copy of Jade, but eventually I'll be able to get at least 3 copies of Jade by trading with this city-state. This usually also builds a road between cities, unless there's a water route available. In this case, there'll be a trade ship. Now I have access to their Jade, which I can put directly into the capital. That is the primary way to advance the economic victory condition, getting access to other civilizations' resources without having to conquer them. Now my army is finally ready to push through this independent power. And now that we're here, we're actually able to disperse the independent. This will immediately give us a huge boost in either 100 gold, science, production, or culture. You see, well, 2 turns on this library, but if I go ahead and disperse this, we immediately get 100 production, immediately finishing the rest of that library with enough production rollover to immediately finish a Temple of Jupiter. That's huge. I'll be putting this Temple of Jupiter right here, which will be giving +3 happiness, but also culture for adjacent happiness constructions and wonders. So you can see independent powers are actually very powerful to either befriend and soothe, but also kill, helping you rush techs or civics, or even rushing a wonder if you time it properly. I'm gonna grab some wine. Is that an empire? Wine is an empire resource? Oh my goodness. 2 happiness to the capital and 10% culture when in a celebration. That is so funny. We also got another militaristic attribute because of dispersing that clan, which will now give us the choice to give us +5 combat strength against additional independent powers and city-states, or +1 free war support on all your wars. Because I have another city-state because we have another independent power to attack, I'm gonna grab this, and that should help us out a ton with attacking Achaemonia. Confucius wants to form an alliance. From what I've seen with the AI, they tend to get you dragged into wars if you accept alliances. He is hostile with Hatshepsut, and that is probably going to be my target later on in the game, so I am okay with that. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna regret this. Hang on, let me save. Yeah, I'll be accepting this because I want to be able to click on him, and look, now that our relationship has been increased substantially at 66, which is helpful. All right, there's our Temple of Jupiter. Very nice. I am realizing these boats are actually going to pillage my merchant's trade ship that was established. I will be building a boat out of the capital just so that I can sail it down the river and take care of some of these. I'm going to improve the camels here. Camels is actually a very fun resource that actually just to increase the capacity of other resources in a city, which means it actually helps out quite substantially. Holy dust storm. Okay. That's going to pillage a bunch of tiles for us, but I can actually use our gold here to just gold buy, repair it. That gets my resource back. You can see our combat strength modifiers are really starting to stack up here. A 27 strength warrior easily handles that slinger. Our galley here is actually going to help try to defend our capital from these boats that are coming in. I'm even going to get a slinger in here. I don't like how India has an army commander just sitting by my border, as well as another sword. But because our combat strength against independent powers, this fight is actually going pretty well. I'm going to grab access to this marble here. Oh, this dust storm, dude. Defending our city, very nice. We do have another narrative choice here. Soldiers return from the field, fever bright eyes, bringing lurid descriptions of slaughter and disembowelment that frighten children. Even the new contract is unsettled. We can send them back to the battlefield, actually activate deterrent ability, giving 2 combat strength on all units, or have them teach, giving the production towards training new units, but negative happiness on military buildings. This must have been from all of the combat we've been doing. I'm just gonna take the +2 combat strength. That sounds awesome. So I have a second unique building here, the Basilica, which will give gold and as well as additional resources. But if I put that in the same district as my other unique building, this will build what is called a unique quarter, which will become ageless and actually stay throughout all of the entire game. All right, looks like India's finally leaving. He should. I'm about to get my freaking legions up. Choosing a technology, I'm gonna move directly after bronze working into the wheel because I wanna get my access to ballista and siege units. Because I just got access to legions, I wanna send these units home so I can get them upgraded. And actually, we now have 3 traditions that are all gonna be fun to run. I'll be running the production towards military units in the capital for every town, as well as getting culture on training these units. I'll be taking out honor just for a little bit and running this 10% food, gold, and culture in towns with a specialization. And speaking of specializations, that means I can actually now set these towns. Because this town has a bunch of food potential, I'll be setting it to a farming town, giving +1 food on farm, pastures, plantations, and fishing boats. That will increase the amount of food that this town is building and then sending all that food directly back to the capital. This town can absolutely be a mining town, giving additional production on all of these quarries. But I also want this town to grow to 1 more population just so I can get this pasture improved first. And then Aqualia can switch probably to a trade outpost. You can see right now my merchant doesn't have any access to any of these other civilizations because they're all outside of trade range. But if I set this to a trading outpost, you get +2 happiness for each resource tile in this town and +5 trade route range. That means I can now actually trade all the way to Hashusut. And considering it might be useful to get a road this direction, I'm going to go for that. We also got another settlement limit by completing this, but also I get additional settlement limit if I come over here. I'll use my 2 scouts here to keep an eye out in this mountain pass to make sure that India isn't coming to attack me. And now I can actually start upgrading my units. I have 300 gold banked up, and actually you don't even need to separate your unit from an army commander to upgrade them. You can go ahead and just find this upgrade button, making our first legion, and then another legion for 85 gold, as well as these archers to upgrade for 55 gold. And now we have a very strong army ready to push. We now also have access to another celebration. I'm going to use this celebration to actually build a couple more infantry units and plug in the honor card back in. That means more legions, more army. On standby, this actually is perfect timing because now I have another bonus to producing more legions. We're also going to deploy this army here with our legions. We'll make a trade route with Egypt, building a road straight through here that we'll be able to actually use and exploit. Grab a bunch of immediate culture. This independent power actually has their own army commander, so we'll want to prioritize killing this quickly. But you can see here our legions have 44 combat strength, 25 melee, +6 for every tradition we have slotted in, +1 because the city-state suits, +1 because of iron, +2 determined ability bonus, +5 against independent powers, +3 against independent powers, and then route. Oh my god, oh my goodness. Once we kill the army commander, all the units inside of it actually pop out like a piñata, and we can run through and kill them as well. I actually do want to wait till my army commander is in range before I attack here, just to get a little bit more experience on my guys. It looks like Egypt has been fighting them over here as well. We see with this road, I can now send my legion in really quickly and come straight through this archer. I can grow the town and grab this horse here. This town can now pick its own specialization. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the mining town to increase our gold per turn output. Here's another legion. I'm going to actually use him in conjunction with the army commander to teleport, get him into the front lines in 3 turns. And then we're going to go ahead and also disperse this independent clan, giving us 100 gold right now. Another promotion as well. I'm going to get a Storm, which is another assault promotion giving combat strength on ranged units that are within the radius of the commander as well. I'm actually going to go ahead and reject this cultural exchange. I actually do want to start making my relationship with Egypt actively worse. So prize wars are actually pretty rough in Civ 7 now. If you declare war and you declare a surprise war, not only do you give this player 150 influence at this point, they will also get an initial 3 war support here. Now, war support means literally combat strength. She will have +3 combat strength on all of my units. Also, the more war support she has on me, the more war weariness I will suffer in my own cities, reducing my happiness across my entire empire. This happiness penalty can cause a variety of issues, including yields being reduced, as well as actual uprisings and pillage tiles. So a surprise war will be longer because she has additional combat strength, but also the effects we felt back at home and can really be a drag on your game. So having a fast, efficient, and quick war is generally preferred. I'm going to go ahead instead denounce this civilization. Now, you don't just denounce and then 5 turns later can declare a formal war. Your relationship status actually has to be hostile or lower. These are not just AI modifiers and how they treat you. Your relationship directly correlates to whether or not you can declare formal wars or not. This happens in multiplayer with real life people as well. Denouncing will reduce our relationship by 60. Which will last for 10 turns. So I need to start doing things to really hinder our relationship. We just unlocked a tradition that gives +1 production on urban districts in the capital, which is one of the strongest ones. I'm definitely going to use this. And even though I'm not using these military cards to produce units right now, they do increase the combat strength of our legions. I can take out honor and instead run the oratory to get more influence points before this war. We also got another choice between a cultural or a militaristic attribute point. So we're taking the militaristic one, of course, naturally. 1 free war support on all of our wars. This will make our war coming up much smoother. I can grab the masteries for Civis Romanus, just straight up a free 2 gold in the capital for every town that we own. I'm gonna go ahead and actually use my units just to fortify right here because they have the bulwark promotion. They can fortify in 1 turn. Oh my god, that's amazing. Oh, hello, 2 Indian cities? My goodness. All right, this is... For those wondering how the Civ 7 AI is doing, generally speaking, stats-wise, they do pretty good. They can mess up a lot less with the removal of builders and complicated district setups. However, they tend to do this kind of stuff. You can see they haven't settled any of their resources nearby, but they march their settlers all the way down here to the south to settle some crazy satellite cities. For those that played Civ 5 or even the release version of Civ 6, you remember the AI would always do this kind of thing and settle that crazy little pocket in the middle of your empire until Civ 6 introduced loyalty. Loyalty would make cities like this rebel into your empire, but more importantly, the AI could see the loyalty on each of the tiles and just wouldn't settle there most of the time. Loyalty hasn't been fully removed. There is one crisis system, the rebellions, where loyalty is turned on and cities can flip. So these cities might actually come back to me if we get lucky with that crisis. But my guess is that they remove loyalty for a couple of reasons. The first reason being new players had a hard time dealing with loyalty when it came to war pushes, and with the introduction of more punishing happiness and war readiness concerns, in addition to having cities rebel in the backline of your war push, they might have removed it for that. But I think secondly, and more importantly, that the entire exploration era is all about settling far and distant land cities. Having loyalty enabled will make this very difficult, not only for the AI, but also for human players. But the counter argument is that you could just have loyalty enabled and have additional ways for players and AI to compensate for this, or just have the loyalty be a behind the scenes AI modifier, which would help them settle close to their own cities and not so close to yours. But that's probably getting into more of a feedback review topic. Instead of being mad that these cities are here because I want to settle my own cities there, what I can do instead is actually just go ahead and build a merchant. By sending a merchant over to them, when he improves these resources, we will both get duplicate copies of those resources. So if he improves the iron, I can get the iron with a merchant. I also see that this city-state has iron, so hopefully they can improve theirs. Maybe they'll get a merchant. And this settlement that I was planning to run over here for a settler, there's plenty of other places it could go. There is still tons of resources down here, especially this silver tile, which is unreachable from the capital. For now, I'm keeping my units close to Cleopatra, but I do want to make sure that they stay just a little bit away from their borders. If you step onto their borders, they will call you out about, hey, are you here to declare war? And then you actually have to make a commitment there's this denounced military presence. If I step on her borders, she'll spend the 20 influence to denounce my military presence, which will then commit me to either declaring a surprise war with extra penalties to Weariness and war support, or committing to peace with her for I believe 10 turns. So I don't want to do that either. You can see she does have her Medjay, and Medjay are actually a tier 1 Egyptian unique infantry unit. You can see by the little icon here that this is actually a tier 2 unit, so it has been upgraded. Egypt is one of those civs that has their unique unit from literally the start of the game, and then it upgrades to tier 2 and tier 3. So if you ever fight Egypt, you will be fighting the Medjay, but they have no maintenance, 3 combat strength in friendly territory, and that's doubled stationed in a settlement that they own. Nice defensive unit, but I think we'll have enough combat bonuses to push right through them. And it looks like Yulin has improved their mine. So I'm going to go to Aqualia immediately, and I want to buy a merchant flat out. This merchant shows that I can trade with the city-state and even get their iron, so I'm going to send him up there immediately. And in terms of our civics, I actually do want to keep an eye out for the increases to settlement limits. There's one in organized military and one entertainment, so I'm going to work down to this military branch of the civic tree. I can settle my city down here in the tundra, and that actually immediately gives me a legion because of our Roman tradition. I don't need this legion down here, so this legion will teleport all the way up to an army commander and be there in 6 turns, so it'll be a while, but I don't have to micro pulling this unit all the way back to a front line. The capital can also grab this ivory tile. This will allow us to get additional production to wonders on tropical plains and desert terrain, while the marble gives us production towards wonders on grassland, tundra, and marine terrain. I'll be able to build a couple of wonders here quite easily. I'm going to build this +4 production barracks. It gets adjacency from resources, just like our library. So I'm going to go ahead, put that down here, increase the production of our town, and our market's going to come over to our Indian friends over here. With the wheel now being unlocked, we have access to the ballista, which is a siege unit I'm going to definitely want to be using, given that Egypt has quite a few walls around here, as well as access to heavy chariots. I'm immediately going for military training after this because I want to unlock flanking. I'm going to grab a little bit of extra culture here to try to speed through the civic trees because I have a lot of civics that I want to grab. And now my capital has a 44 production, and they're just going to sit aside and start working on our cultural legacy path. Of course, this is all about building 7 wonders. A very important wonder to look for when it comes to any type of military aggression is the Gate of All Nations, giving +2 support on all wars. I'm going to go ahead and put it next to the barracks and library, giving both of those an adjacency, but also next to the altar and the monument, giving both of those another adjacency. That's where you get the +1 production, science, culture, and happiness from. Now that I have a merchant up here in this city-state, I can establish this trade route, building a road between us, giving me 2 gold per turn, but most importantly, give me another access to iron. Now I'll have 2 iron, which will give me 2 combat strength on my infantry units. With access to the wheel, I'm also going to go ahead and buy a couple ballista. Only 155 gold to buy these. Yes, so now our relationship is actually unfriendly, so I can start doing some of these sanctions on her. Want our relationship to not only be unfriendly, I want it to be hostile. You'll see once your friendship is unfriendly, if you declare a surprise war, they get less starting influence and less war support. So what you can do to further cement how much they hate you is by doing some sanctions. So we can hinder their civic studies, decreasing their culture, hinder their growth in one of their cities, really pulling down the sanctions on them. But I'll teleport my 2 ballista over to my army commander. They will be there in 3 to 4 turns. Go for organized military for the settlement capacity. I also can finally set up my merchant to this Indian city, giving us access to cotton and silk, as well as building a nice fun road here. I can put this cotton in town, and I like the percentage modifier of the 10% culture on silk. And now just a few turns later, we can finally declare a formal war. You see, we actually have +1 war support. That's from our military attribute, and they have 0. Formal wars seem to be fair game. I will now immediately open up war details, and you can see this is the war support. This is so much fun. Because we did a formal war, it actually is a flat 0. We get +1 from having a initial war support from our militaristic attribute, and then we can add even more war support to our end by spending our influence. Every time we do this, the next spend is a little bit more expensive, but you can see now we have +3 combat strength on her, and she's gonna be the one dealing with a bunch of happiness effects. If we had done a surprise war, this was started at +3 towards her end. We would have spent a bunch of influence to get it back to 0, but then all the additional 150 influence she would have gotten immediately means she would have been able to swing it back up to her end very easily. So I can now march forward all of these legion together, as well as the commander. I also have a boat down here to harass Hatshepsut. All boats can now coastally raid. 30 gold for coastal raids. Everyone is Norway now. So I'm going to be investing into my towns, specifically these ageless buildings. You can keep track of war support underneath the icons of the civs that you are facing. You can see she actually just spent the influence to bring the war support 2 points in her favor, bringing our combat strength only to +1. So you can see the currency of influence is actually spent to swing the tide of war back and forth dynamically throughout the war. Bringing in their archers, you can see they're already dealing with a happiness penalty, reducing their yields, including their ability to actually produce defensive units. I'll be bringing my legion forward and also deploying my army. And it looks like our ally, Confucius, has actually joined in on the war. Now, here's a fun thing that you could do, is actually I can click on our ally's war and actually support him in his war as well. So now we are supporting his war. You can literally dump influence into other AI's war and make proxy war with them, which is real fun. Looks like they actually spent the gold to fix this tile the same turn that I pillaged it. So we're just gonna pillage it again. Wait, is this an infinite money glitch? Oh my goodness. All right, Hatshepsut does have some archers coming in, so I do want to bring my army commander in. I forgot to switch to my policies to get the tradition cards back in my government. Right now, these legions have 34 combat strength, which is more than enough to deal with this archer, quite substantially. But also I can do massive damage to this city. There's no unit in this city, nothing defending it, so it's just 36 combat strength versus 25, so it falls very quickly. That's our first military objective completed. You have a choice to raise or keep cities, but I'm going to definitely keep this one. But for 15 turns, it'll be occupied, meaning you can't actually build, buy, or do anything. It has a happiness penalty. Putting a commander in a occupied city will help substantially when it comes to happiness. But for the meantime, it won't be too much of an issue for us. She's actually fixing the salt mine every time I pillage it. That's so funny. Ooh, I get a crowd pleaser narrative event, meaning I can either take some happiness or 10% production towards constructing wonders. That's actually huge timing considering I'm building the Gate of All Nations right now. And completing the Gate of All Nations, this will actually give us +2 combat strength in all the wars. This will swing us back up to +3 war support on Hatshepsut, helping us swing the tide of battle. Ooh, looks like there's a crazy flood that just happened here, damaging quite a few units. But I'll be marching forward with my legion. And even use the bulwark fortification to be able to fortify here, making it very tough to fight into us. I want to build the Colosseum. We have an early build for the Colosseum, +3 culture and 2 happiness on all quarters in this settlement. So I can place this right here next to our monument, boosting the monument as well. You can see just having all of these wonders next to the monument feels very good to me. There we go. She stopped fixing her salt mine, so I'll just pillage the horses. I'll use the gold that we'll be making to invest in my towns. Specifically up here, I actually do want a fishing quay built. Because I've noticed I have this nice river access as well. And if any of my cities are low on happiness, I can buy them altars. Oh yeah, Egypt is doing their counteroffensive. They have an army command here. Oh my goodness, the thunderstorms. They have a whole bunch of units here. Unfortunately, they've marched their army commander still packed. So this is actually a very easy target for us. Be able to pick them off quite substantially. And if you're able to kill an army commander, it's going to significantly weaken their entire army. Dude, this is so epic. I come in here, pillage a brickyard. Nice, dude. 30 gold, sweet. You can say my legion are significantly stronger than these Medjay just because of the amount of combat strength and modifiers that we have going on. but I do just want to wait just a second. They're trying to attack amphibiously into this legion. This legion is actually in a pretty tough spot, though. I'm going to send this legion home. This commander is going to come forward. We got another promotion on this commander, so I'm going to come down here, giving +3 combat strength to siege units within the commander radius. And we have a celebration. We love the Tyrant Day indeed. I'll just be grabbing the 20% science at this point. And now I can switch some policy cards around. I immediately want to make sure I'm running all of my traditions as priesthood for gold and oratory for influence. Now you can see my legions have 40 combat strength, 25 melee strength base, 8 from traditions, 1 from city-states that are suzerain, 2 from iron, 2 from the determined ability bonus, and 2 from route. That is fantastic. I have a couple units up here to the north to keep an eye out for anyone trying to flank around us, including this nice lookout scout. Dude, scouts are so much fun. And we got a saw pit to pillage. This one boat's gonna be a menace. All right, looks like we took a little bit of damage here, but that's okay. I'll be able to actually heal faster on these royal districts because I took the Pantheon God of Healing, which is actually really nice. That means this legion will heal a little faster. You can see I can finally go ahead, start pushing forward a little bit, as well as use the deployment of our army commander to get my first ballista out, taking a nice shot at the enemy, and even getting my legion into the water. I'll push my archers forward. Confucius wants to do a farmer's market. I actually want to hold on to my diplo favor for a little bit, so I'm just going to take the little bit of extra gold. And I will actually need to start converting some of my towns into cities, because I have a bunch of city resources that need cities to be in. I could send units to flank around the other side here, but I think I'm just going to hold off for a second. And I'm going to immediately swap around some of these legions. I'm going to pack a couple of these units into the commander, pull back this legion, move this commander forward, and then actually be able to unpack this direction. Commanders just give so much mobility to an entire army. Also, you can actually deploy one unit at a time, like I'm doing in this game. I just didn't know about it at that point. And actually, I can set this ballista over here on this cotton tile if I escort it with my boat. Nice. So I do want to maximize my settlement limit, so I'm going to go up to entertainment. And now let's get our ballista set up and ready to go. I have a couple of legion. I can easily push through this Medjay here. So we're going to focus on that. Bring the commander forward. Now we built the Colosseum. Rome shall fall. Rome shall never fall. Actually, no, we're going to fall really fast because crisis is about to happen, isn't it? Now, opening night of the Colosseum, we get to decide a narrative event because we built the Colosseum as Rome. Do we unveil a new drama celebrating the Caesar for culture? Announce chariot races for happiness? Or do we hold a stage battle event giving 2 combat strength in all melee units? Yeah, I think so. Oh my goodness, my melee units are so strong. I'm going to push them forward as well. Now, I absolutely will be using this legion, pumping into here, pulling this legion forward as well, getting our archer forward. But the legion that I just moved into this guy, I can then also go ahead and immediately deploy out on the other side. So awesome. And then use my ballista to start hammering the cities. Now, siege units are special. Usually when you're attacking a city like this, you have to destroy the city's district. Every town has at least some district defenses. Walls increase that strength quite substantially, as well as the health. But after you destroy the walls, you also have to kill the unit inside of there. And if there's another commander as well, you will have to kill the commander too. But if you have siege units, they damage everything in there at the same time, making them very useful for sieging cities. Can even use my boat to attack the city as well. I also got some pillaging to do here, pillaging this blacksmith and gaining 40 science immediately. We're building so many wonders, I might as well go for another one, building the Great Stele as well. 20, 20, 15, very nice. Now I do have to keep an eye out for the Medjay coming from the north. Doing a crazy amount of damage here. And of course, all the gold pillagers are going straight into investing into our towns back home. Now, she wants peace. Of course, we're not going to accept that. Look at this city I want. Now, there's actually some special moves here I haven't really shown off for the commanders, but they can actually coordinate attacks with all units nearby. We have Scorch Earth, orders all military units within the commander radius to pillage the enemy settlement. You have a Focus Fire, ordering all range units to fire on a specific target, but with additional 2 combat strength. And then you have Coordinated Attack, ordering all infantry and cavalry units in the radius to attack a specific target, but with additional 2 combat strength. So there's going to be times that it's worth attacking one at a time. There's going to be other times it's worth using a coordinated attack. I'm going to spend this turn pillaging markets and barracks, as well as just hitting down these walls. +5 is crazy. While we're here, I'm actually going to try to befriend another independent city-state to get another suzerain bonus down here. Oh, there's another flood here. Jeez, Egypt things. You can see the district defenses are destroyed. These walls are almost destroyed as well. And now I can use the Legion commanders coordinated attack, attacking this district with 3 Legion, which all have 40 melee strength, which will now be 42 attack. District defense is destroyed. Unit massive damage, and then taken out. Now, to be able to capture a city, you need to be able to control all of the city's district defenses.
May the might of the
There's another wonder.
No enemy to follow.
But one more wonder will get me to a partway through the cultural legacy path. Conquering another city will get me partway through military. The science I still need to focus on because I'm currently in the Dark Age, looks like. And I have 600 gold right now. Oh, there's a chariot here too. This legion's actually almost dead, so I do want to try to pull him back. Actually, an easy thing to do with your hurt legions is to just pack them into a commander, and then that commander can move forward or backwards. They can do whatever they need to do to make sure that they're safe. I'll use these ballistas to try to kill this last guy, and we can take the capital. There we go. Huge progress to the military milestone. We've actually unlocked Songhai as well by having 3 settlements with at least 3 navigable river tiles, as well as Mongolia, because we've improved 3 horses. Oh man, we have options now. This legion I want to push forward, as well as the archers. And next time we finish military training. We'll be keeping the settlement, of course. This city is also unhappy, but we can see this town that we've conquered is already back to being happy. Amazing. The Oracle provides us additional culture per age every time we finish a narrative event, because I've been enjoying doing those narrative events. Let's put that right here. And allow me to move where this is worked. And I want to use the gold that I have to start converting some of the more important towns into cities. This town is actually nice and centrally located. Capua actually is a huge amount of food that is really benefiting Rome. So I want to keep that as a town. This town, though, I can actually convert into a city. It has a good amount of production. And now we'll split some of the food from Capua between this and our capital. And now has a production queue and can start developing very quickly. I'm going to immediately build a library for the scientific legacy path. The town we've conquered here is no longer under any type of occupation, so I can actually buy items in this as well, including the granary to keep the population climbing, as well as a monument to give me some more culture per turn. This will grow our city, getting us actually over to this silk tile. And now that I have a city, I can actually assign some more resources in it, getting us further along in the economic progression. But we've actually just unlocked military training, unlocking flanking. I can even do more things like unlocking the mastery towards bronze working, which will give +3 combat strength on melee units, or the mastery to the wheel, which gives +1 movement on my catapults. I mean, they can actually move and shoot. But I think considering I do want to start getting further down the tech tree, I want to work on currency. Now, to show off flanking, there's some really cool things here. You can see this Medjay is at 32 combat strength. This Legion is at 40. But now that I attack into this Medjay, we are now establishing a direction of attack. The next Legion here gets an additional +2 flanking bonus. Attacking from an even further angle gets a +3 flanking bonus. And if you attack from directly behind, you get a +5 flanking bonus. Now, flanking actually works best with the maneuver commander promotions, because not only does this increase movement speed, but also gives you additional +2 flanking when attacking. So with the promotion, you get from +4 all the way up to +7 flanking bonuses. Now, combine this with cavalry units that have high movement and ignore zone of control, and you get some pretty insane flanking bonuses. You notice this game has some crazy pluses plus 11s and plus 13s, and it gets really busted very quickly. Apparently, this is a bug. There's some kind of bug that is introduced with the commander promotion, I believe. So if you ever heard me going off about how flanking is super strong and absolutely bonkers and so much fun in Civ 7, this was why. I didn't realize this was actually broken. It's not supposed to be this strong. And you can see that gets pretty absurd. And in this position where I'm attacking someone from behind but getting a 57 flanking bonus is absolutely absurd. The Legion takes absolutely no damage. And even this one where I got plus 60 flanking, making an 80 strength Legion, it's just comical. That's probably gonna be fixed by the time you guys get to play. I'm sorry. But regardless, there's now very, very unique ways to utilize flanking. No longer is it just plus 2 for every surrounding unit like it was in Civ 6. Now you can have a war push where your infantry units push a front line, and you can actually send cavalry around the side to flank and disrupt formations. In the meantime, I'll just take my nice plus 5 combat strength here. Also use our archers to take care of this chariot and get my ballista back into position. We've now liberated the district, so we have full control of the city again. Grab another jade tile. And it's actually time that these gypsum now go into a different city. You can see they get plus 2 production in the capital, but they get plus 4 in any other city. So I want to focus on putting specifically the gypsum into a new city. I'll keep stacking the percentage modifiers into the capital. You can see I can actually afford to get another city soon. And there we have another promotion on our commander. This will get us all the way down to the bottom of the assault, giving a first strike ability, 5 combat strength at full health. This also locks commendation points. I just forgot about it for a little bit. Hang on. I'll get back to this in a second. We're going to push forward with all these units. All right, now that we have our commander here, I'm going to use this focus fire for all ranged units to attack the city together. Holy God. Just destroyed the wall. Oh my goodness, that was crazy, dude. District defense is destroyed. You can even come in here with some Legion, fight right on through them, take the district immediately. Now we have one more district to take. It's okay, you guys got it. Oh, they just got a chariot built. Ooh, there we go. View progress. We just built another wonder.
I count the grains
The
of
Oracle.
sand on the beach and hear the voiceless.
The happiness in all settlements is actually a very strong policy card to run. So this is actually very important here as well. Once you get to the bottom of a promotion tree, you actually get to 1 commendation, which these are some of the strongest promotions on your army commanders. We have Valor, which gives you the ability to let a land unit attack twice. Service gives plus 1 movement to all land units within the commander radius. Merit gives the command radius plus 1 range, and then order plus 5 combat strength for land units within the command radius. I'm gonna go order here just for fun, because now you can see that these get a plus 5 from order now. Taking the city with our final attack, 44 combat strength. This is a 25 strength unit, guys. This is almost double his combat strength. Just rolling on in. Finishing Egypt. 1 less civ to have to worry about. I'm sorry. Don't make me feel bad, please. She walked away. Caesar, don't do it. We'll be keeping this city as well. But you see, we've actually maxed out our settlement cap. We actually didn't go over our settlement cap the entire time. I really thought we were going to. But now we have some pretty strong cities on both coasts of the continent, which is a very big deal for the next stage. Our next video is going to talk about the crisis system, as well as completing your victory conditions and transitioning into the next age, and all of the details that are involved in beginning the age of exploration. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you did learn something new, feel free to subscribe. I'll be releasing more videos here shortly. I'll also be having the chance to do a very long series of live streams on February 5th, 1 day before early access is released. I'll be streaming both on the Twitch channel as well as here on this YouTube channel, so subscribe and come back for more. Leave a comment down below if you got any more questions about Civ 7. I'll try to answer them as best I can. Until next time, later, nerds.